Hello and welcome everyone to Wikipedia Weekly Network, where I and Albin are editing Wikidata. Hello Albin, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling it's September now, but I got some hot tea and I'm ready to edit some Wikidata. How are you, Jan?
I'm very good as well. It hasn't really been feeling like fall here yet. It's still quite warm, so it's good, but I guess it's coming sooner or later.
Yeah,
Yeah,
usually
so
it does.
it usually does. Yeah, winter is coming. So, what are you looking forward to editing today?
I'm gonna get back to some editing some Glacier data, and I'm in particular gonna show off a trick so you can write quick statements commands directly in SparkQL. So you never need to use any other tool than the SparkQL editor and quick statements.
Oh, that sounds very exciting because I think I will start doing it the old-fashioned way. I will first write some queries, then I will take the detour over PET and then into quick statements.
Right.
So maybe I will learn something from you later on, but yeah, let's. It's too late to change now.
It
But I
just
think
shows it could be useful.
yes, and I guess there might be other times where you actually want to go into PET scan as well, because that's a very
Indeed.
Swiss
Yeah.
Army knife kind of tool. All right, so I'm going to show my screen here. I think here. So what I'm going to show today is I'm going to work a little bit on the Swedish parliamentary motions that has been imported into Wikidata, but I think this trick can be done like for many other topics as well. So I'm showing this because I'm actually working on it, but I hope you will be able to borrow some ideas for whatever you are doing. So I started off here with just a query, and I'm just showing it here because it builds a little bit upon what you did last week, where we actually ask for an office here and use the qualifier.
Right.
So
Yes.
so here I'm looking for motions, and these are the different types of motion it can be. So I want all of the different types. We actually have 4 different ones classified in Wikidata for the Swedish parliamentary motions. And of course, I want them to have an author, or no, I'm looking for an author, and then I want the author to be from a specific electoral district. And I just
Right.
show this off because I used this morning when we had a meetup, which is based upon this county. So the theme of the meetup was this county. So I was looking at this. But this is actually just to give me an idea, because what we're trying to do now is finding motions and give them what are they about, like putting the main subject on them, which is the property 921 main subject. And we couldn't do that automatically because that wasn't tagged in that way or classified. So what I'm doing instead here, I'm just using this one as a seed to see if I find some interesting ones. So I have the titles here. Unfortunately, they're all in Swedish, but I don't think that will matter. I actually scroll down to bottom because I found a good example here. So here's one with a title that is just very simple. It's just one word, and the word is unemployment benefit. So what I could do here is I could go into this one and add that as a theme or main subject on that item. But of course, there must be more motions about this topic. So I will copy this text and go to my next query. So what this next query does instead, it's looking for things that are starting with this. And then I filter out those that already have that topic because I don't need them.
Right.
So this is just the same as the first one. I'm grabbing the label as well because that's what I'm going to use here. I'll remove those with the topic that I already have, and then I'll look. do we have any more that starts with this? And I haven't run this, so we'll see if we have any more. And yes, so we have 54 results here, and I'll scroll through them to see if it does make sense that they actually are about this. Sometimes you can see they are not, but here I think they do. So here comes my next step then, that hopefully renders necessary because of your tip next. I'll go into PetScan, and PetScan is a very good tool, and you can find it on this address, petscan.bmflabs.org. It can do all sorts of stuff. It's very good. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into this tab that says Other Sources. And here I can just paste my Sparkle query. So I'm going to paste it here and run it. And now I don't see the Do It button because of the banner. So I'll hide the banner again. There. Do it. So now it runs the same query again. So we'll see how long it takes. And here we got some results. Hopefully 54 again then. Yes, 54 results. So we have them all.
Right.
And here we also have the option to uncheck them if we don't like anyone. So what I'm going to do here, and you see here the command list, you see you add with the property, colon, and the value. And unfortunately, there's no autocomplete here. So you'll have to remember, look it up. Now I've been working on this. I know that it's P921, which is main subject, colon, and now I forgot the one, so I'll scroll up again here because I filtered it out here. I do this filtering because I'm not really sure if the quick statements will
I don't think
skip
so.
them. No, so if you don't filter it out, you might add them twice. It make duplicates. So this is the statement I want to add. And so I'll just press this one. It will open a new tab for me and import it. And I'm going to take a look at them all again here. I'll go to the drop down to set it to 100. And just make a little bit of a, yeah, this looks good. So I'm going to start this one and let it run for a while here. And while it's doing that, let's see if it, yep, seems to be working. So I'm not very good with Sparkle, but I've learned a few things. So this actually only looks for when it starts with a string. There's another one that is called ends. This one is case sensitive, so you have to shift that one. So I can take a look for this as well.
I believe the first one was also case sensitive, right?
Yeah.
Starts with, yeah.
But usually in there, since it was string starts.
Yes.
And we got another 61 results here. So this is very good. So I can take a look at, see at the titles here. It's all seem to be, and these ones look a little bit special because these are what's called following motions. So they are motions on a proposition, which is pretty cool. We already have those connections in as caused by in Wikidata.
Right. So we can ask for the one which has the most follow-ups.
We could, yes. And this looks also very good. Nice. So then I'll go back into PetScan here again. I could just, yeah, I'll do that to not screw this up. So I'll just copy this again. Select all and copy it. Control A, Control C. Go back up to this and do Control A, Control V. So now you see it and changed here and ends. And now possibly, let's see, was there anyone that both started and ended with the same? No. So there's no duplicates within these. So I can just run this one again, do it. Should be 68 then. $61. Was it 61?
Actually, you might need to make sure
Yeah,
you
it's
use
61.
select distinct as well when you do this type of task. In case there would be a duplicate of something you're querying on, QuickStatements won't warn about that and create the command twice. So for example, imagine just this case that it has this instance of twice. You would get it twice, and QuickStatement would edit it twice.
Yes. In this case, I rely on user pop that he actually did his imports okay.
Right.
So
But the instance of was just an example. There
yes,
could be something else.
yes. In general, you're right. I think we're safe in this query because
I
this
believe
query
so
is
as
so
well.
simple. But yes, that's a very good thing to know about quick statements. Quick statements will do what you tell it to do.
Exactly.
I think that's the point we want to make and have people be
A
not
little cautious.
surprised. Yeah. So this one actually ran through 54, done, no errors. That's very good. Thank you. So I'm going to close this one down and go back to here and start a new one with adding the same thing. I'm switching to the 100 here. Boom. Just take a little look again. That seems good. So let's start to run it here. Scroll back up and see if it's yes. I'm just going to open it up here so you can see how it looks. Unfortunately, we couldn't actually do automatic labels in English. So that's a little bit sad. They're not translated in the Parliament. But these are quite... so here you see this one, the main subject ended up. And I think... Well, this one didn't have any sites. We should try to look at one of those as well. So I'll close this one. We had... This one should be like that, if everything worked out. Lots of authors on this one. Yes, so it has immediate cause, yes.
Right.
And another user, Belteshazzar, also have been running a script, because since there's a standardized way on referring on these, it can be very easy to find where they cite each other, which is, and this one actually does cite something.
Right.
So this has also been added with a button. We have this nice reference. And our plan further on is to try to take a look at these in Schoolia, where you can see these dependencies. So that's why we want the subjects or main topics come up.
And I can imagine this type of citations and main topics is very used in Schooler articles as well. So Schooler will be able to handle it without any problem.
Yes. So already it's quite useful, but we're thinking building a separate view of, especially for these, because there are some differences, and especially like with since we have hopefully in the end like a causal change or chain from something happening in the world leading up to a proposition or a motion, which might in turn go, or a motion that leads to a proposition, that leads to a report, that leads to a proposal for a law, and we should hopefully be able to track all that change. eventually. And this is a little bit of a part in that. So that's the motion here. And did it work well? Yes, it did. So let's try another one. See if we can pick out something that we see here, like something that these are actually duplicates because I made a bad query. So I'm not sure I'm going to pick. There we have, oh, this is interesting. This is good. So this is the Baltic Sea. So we can expect probably quite a lot of this. So let's try that one. We'll go back into here. We'll change this to, oh, we can start with the ends. See if we have Baltic Sea in the end. It will be capitalized since it's a name. Let's take a look. What is the item for the Baltic Sea? Baltic Sea. 545. That's a short one. And remove everything that already had that. That's the minus. And run this one. See if we get any. $83. Ah, yes. And these are a little bit more trickier, I would say, because they might not be mostly about the Baltic Sea. It's about something else. But since I think we can be quite inclusive on the topics, I'm just going to see if there's something really wrong. Here we have one that would show up in both of our queries. That's just one word.
And then it's one has to note that it takes a while for the WDQS content to reload.
Yep. Yes.
So now running the author query wouldn't recognize that.
Might not.
This has actually been edited.
So we'll have to look at that, and we can see here, and this is a thing that might be useful for you if you're doing this kind of work where you do an edit and then waiting for it to show up. You have this a little thing here where you can actually see how fresh the data is. And luckily right now, it seems to be very fresh. This is a bit unusual, like just a few seconds. Sometimes this can be a couple of minutes, 20 minutes, sometimes up to hours. Then people are starting to complain because a lot of people are using workflows like this where they actually do a query, then do some edits, and then do some queries to see what do I have left to edit.
Yeah.
But this, I think this seems quite good. And usually when I do it like this, I also spot other things that I could do. Because there seems to be a theme. There's a lot about oil spills. So I could probably try to figure something out like that as well. But
a lot of fishing.
A lot of fishing. And I noticed there's a lot of motions about fishing, but we have quite few items about specific kinds of fishing. So I was trying to do something about salmon fishing. We don't have a specific item for salmon fishing industry or something like that. So we have some things to do. So here again, I do Control-A to select everything, Control-C to copy it, switch tab back here. I'll go to the Sparkle tab, do Control-A and Control-V to replace everything. And let's run this one again. It was something about 80, I think. Let's see if it comes through. We have a result 83. And now one have to remember because it stores the old one. So we don't go putting unemployment benefits on all the fishing things or Baltic Sea things. So there was Q545 and start it to open a new tab. And here you can actually get to see that you did put the right thing on it. And just take a quick look again, see if There's something. Oh, this was interesting. Super tankers in the Baltic Sea. Do we have any? I don't know. I'll press run on this again. And I think by now you probably got the gist of this. My workflow is trying to find a word that is probably in the title of emotion, but that could be any thing that you're working on. It doesn't even need to be topics. So try to think, is there something that I can find from the titles that also makes sense on other properties? That's how my tip for you was meant. I'm using it in this specific workflow, but it's probably generalizable. If that's
You might want to show off, I'm pretty sure there is a function that isn't start with or ends with, which is just contains.
Oh, now you're learning new things.
Let's say just replacing that in your existing query and see what happens.
All right.
In particular in this case, because Östersjön would always start with a big letter.
Yes.
So we wouldn't need to do lowercase things and things like that.
So let's see if I can even spell to contain. Oh, all right.
So let's see that one.
So a few more, but also possibly depending on how fresh this data still was, some might already disappear. So, all right. All right, I'm learning something today. Yes, I'm not having to do 2 of them. Sometimes I might need to do 2 anyway because of the capital letters or so, but yeah, for things like these.
Actually, then there is another method that's called the regex that lets you write regular expressions.
Yes, yes, of course. Let's take that step the next time. And with that, I think it will be a short little tip from me here today. I think that this might have been my most productive, because when this is done, it's going to be like in the order of 200 edits or something like that. So, or no, 150. So I'm happy. So you might show something that will improve this workflow?
Yeah, so I actually got back to Glacier data earlier this week. So I'm gonna just show you my page, just listing visualizations and useful tools and such. And it does not autocomplete. Let's see. So here we have been seeing this a couple of episode backs where I collect good to have information when you edit Glacier data. And I have this query glaciers with country but new continent. And the reason you would still want the continent is that a lot of, especially European countries, because of colonialism, is not only in one continent, not the slightest. As especially a lot of countries claim territory on Antarctica, for example, where they have glaciers, and therefore we might want to add this as well. And in general, it makes it easier for people to query. So I have this query. It's about 5,000 glaciers which has this. I'm gonna quickly visualize it. I'm just gonna ask for the coordinates as well, so we can see this in the map. I happen to know that it's 625. I'm just gonna call it C for coordinate, and I'm gonna add it to my output here. And switch to the map view. So scrolling down, we see glaciers with country but new continent. And a couple of areas like this, I assume this is, for example, France, but it's not in Europe. I believe this is those Sandwich Islands, yes. So this would be the UK, but it's in Antarctica. So I really want to add, for all of this item, I want to add the continent. And I want to do that with QuickStatements, just as you have done, Jan. But I want to do it all. The QuickStatements does a really nice thing that it takes CSV commands. So Jana showed it a couple of times when I've been editing a spreadsheet and easily just copy paste it into QuickStatements. But we actually, under download here, we can download CSV, which means we can actually make sure that we write the query that outputs the CSV we need, and then we just paste it into QuickStatement, and we never have to use anything else than these two tools. So to move back to what I want to accomplish, I want to take all of these glaciers, I want to query for them, I want to state the source for where I'm getting the continent. I assume they have something like, yes, located in the administrative entity. And I imagine this has continent. Continent, Antarctica, right. So I want to use this item as a source, that I'm using this item to claim that all of these glaciers are in Antarctica. So I want to write a query for that, essentially. So I'm going to start by making a new query. And I'm going to do something. I'm going to select distinct, which means I do not get duplicates no matter what. The same item could still show up if you're doing this in orchard cases, because it actually has to be the row itself that's unique and not the item itself. Select distinct. And here this is very important, and I want to name the columns what QuickStatements want me to name them. So I'm in particular going to show you the help pages here which describes the QuickStatements commands, and they're described here. I won't go there. I will explain it along the way. So the first one would be the QID, which would be the item we want to edit. So we need a Q number here. And following that, I want to also have the property I want to add, which is continent. I believe it's P30, but I'm going to check.
You can do autocomplete. No, you can't.
No, I can't.
No, yes.
So let's see, continent, P30, right, got it. So moving back to write query, and I also want a source. Then you start with source, and when I want to say that another item is a source, there's something called, let's see, I'm going to open it this Wikidata as well. It has a quite easy to remember number because it's 3452. And it's interfere from. So it's a statement. The statement is added based on a related statement found on the following item. So that's what I want to use to say that I base this on this item. And it was 3452. I just continue with my SparkL query. So I want to select glaciers. I'm just going to copy paste my row here, which select glaciers or subclasses of glaciers. That's the first one I want. Then I want to do that they are at the islands, which would be VDT autocomplete located, right? And here I want to select, limit myself to this, and the right query, which is here, VD. So now I have just stated what I need. I still doesn't output anything from here because I'm far from them. But this would essentially, if I would instead do a star here, it would only select those islands, those glaciers on the island. So that's essentially what I have done here. It's 64, which sounds about right. But now I want to make sure that we're not outputting just the item here, but I want to make sure we're outputting the right things. So the first thing is that the QuickStatement takes QID and then it's only want the Q number.
Yep.
So I want to create a variable for that, which is bind, which which I believe is a function. Let's open here. And QID, actually item as QID, but I want to transform VD colon to the Q to just having the Q number. And actually this VD is actually only a shortcut for a prefix. And there is a button here so we can show those. These are the prefix which is built into Wikidata, which is understands here without any case. So VD is only short for wikidata.org/entity. And I need to remove this to have it be working with the QuickStatements tool. So I essentially want to run replace. And hopefully I know how this works. And I want to first of turn this into a string because currently it's an identifier or an URI. So I want to replace something inside of that URI, which is now a string, with nothing. I want to replace this, and I want to replace it with nothing. So I think this would do it. We would get BDT, and we would replace this with nothing, which should make sure that we all have the Q number left. We can actually run this, see what happens. Yes, we can see here that we only got a Q number. The other ones are even simpler. We're just going to do bind. And we're going to bind it to those variables we have already stated. This one we want to be binded to. Actually, I want a string to be binded to P30 because I only need the Q number here for Antarctica. So we're going to go. Let's check what that has. It's at 51. So let's see, I'm lost again. 51, Q51.
Yep.
We want that to be called. We want the source. We want to bind that column. Actually, no, I'm doing it in the wrong order again. So here we want to point to the islands, which has a longer Q number, which I need to copy. And I'm going to close that one down. So if I run this now, it should populate my columns with those very basic static values. So we can see here that we have QID, P30, set Antarctica, and we are claiming that it's based on this item here. So what I want to do now is just because QuickStatements, which I'm going to head over to. QuickStatements. New batch. And I'm not logged in, and I actually don't want to be logged in with my regular account. I want to be logged in with my bot account. So you can see I'm signing with my bot account because it is a little faster, and I'm making automated edits right now, so I want to do it that way. You can see we have this button import CSV commands, and as I already mentioned, we can actually get this from a CSV if I just go ahead and download it. So I'm gonna do that. I'm just now gonna open it in a regular text editor. You can't see that, but I don't think it's needed. And that's not a text editor. And I just copy paste all the contents directly from the text editor. Hopefully I got it. Looks like it. Great. Gonna paste it in here. This is the commands as they should be. I'm gonna click import CSV commands. As Jan already showed, you can actually show more here. I can see that it would do To the Fortuna glaciers, it would add statement, continent Antarctica, then it would go ahead and add sources to continent Antarctica, and that it's interfered from South Georgia and South Sandwich Islands, which is exactly what I wanted. And I have essentially only used my query here. But it's incredibly important that you are using distinct here, because when you're writing basic queries like this, essentially the two last columns would always be the same. So when you're using distinct, you're making sure that there can't be two Q items that are the same. You can also do a lot more advanced things with this approach, just writing longer SparkQL queries. But using this bind, I have been using this a couple of times this week. I just wanted it to do from scratch. I can just copy paste this over and over again, change out the things I'm using, and run it again. Because we have so much time, I will actually do another one as well. But first, let's just run this. It all looks correct.
You really sparked my imagination now.
Yeah, I can imagine. I was just sitting this week and like, this is CSV. This takes CSV as input. I can do this an easier way.
Yep.
So it just goes ahead here and makes the edit. It doesn't seem to be faster than it did with Jan's regular account.
The regular account usually slows down after like 10 edits. So.
Right. Mine seems
and
to have done
yours
the same.
as well.
Now it's sped up again. Right. So I'm just now gonna show up how to reuse this. I'm gonna go back to I removed it because I used the wrong query the entire time, but I'm just gonna do the same visualizations to find. We had a couple of islands there which were part of France, but
yes,
it's in Antarctica. So I'm just gonna show off how to reuse this, which makes it super useful. Let's see, P625 coordinate C. And it's running. Go to the map. I can't imagine it has already updated. No, it hasn't.
Not yet.
We still got those, but let's see here. Australia. Oh, here we got Australia and Heard Island glaciers. Let's see if we got located as well. McDonald Islands. Let's see if it has continent, or if not, if we can figure out which continent it's on. Country capital. Located on terrain feature Indian Ocean. Okay. Heritage. Oh, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I didn't know that. Do we have continent?
I don't think so.
Right. Then I'm just gonna go ahead and check the English Wikipedia article. It's usually a nice way to see if we can add it there. Oh, we don't. Let's see if we have something else that says something similar. Otherwise, I would need to do a bit of research to actually make that.
Does it say in the top in the intro? Antarctic Islands.
Yeah. Then I assume we are.
Yep.
Good with that one. I'm gonna add a new statement here. Continent, which is 51 we learned, right? No, not P. Q. Polar continent. That's the one. Publish. Let's see, how is my quick statement going here? It's working slowly but surely. Okay, so we want to repeat the same thing with our query here, which prepares it for quick statements. We're still working with glaciers. That's still what we want, but we want it in this territorial entity instead. We want still Antarctica down here, but we want to claim that it's based on this author item. And I just changed that. If I would have worked on something different in glaciers, it would have been an author change, maybe also changing the continent, sumac, just basic edits. I can reuse this forever now. Gonna run it, and here we got a file which is ready for editing as well.
This makes me actually think, would it be possible to sort of make templates within SparkIO?
Yes. So, that's a topic for. Oh, actually, maybe for this time. So you cannot do templates in SparkQL, but you can do templates in the Wikidata query service. There is a special syntax for templates. Let's just see if they got an example. I actually don't want to use this tab. I want to use this tab, not to lose my query. So could this template? Yes. So this has a bit of a special syntax behind a comment, which says that a couple of variables are templates. So the country variable is has to be an instance of country, and it should now be possible to use the visual editor, and this is limited to countries.
All right.
So based on this template, we can modify so usually you would show up like it would try to give you everything, every variable here, you could change them. But because of this template part, we only got what we specified here, and we can change it out to being Ireland. I assume this won't work because they doesn't really have precedence.
Try France.
Yes, France we can try. Yeah, withdrawn. Yeah, so it worked for France. And this way you can actually use templates. I'm not sure how well documented it is, but it's clearly an example here one can work from.
Yes.
Which means you could create a template for this type of task.
Yep.
Actually, our edit here is right now done. So I just downloaded the next query. So I'm just gonna open it this time with a text editor. It's not as many as this time, but again, I just paste in those, import CSV commands. We can see that the glacier, continent, inferred from Heron Island and McDonald Islands. And again, just run same query over and over again, and I will just sit down with various overseas territories for glaciers, and then I can modify it for railway stations or something entirely differently.
Very nice.
Or do like you did, John, and ask for a string in a label, and based on that, write the same thing over and over again.
So here's a question, not really related to your query, but to the inferred from property. Perhaps I should use it because I infer mine from the title.
Yes, but I'm not sure which item you would point to.
Point to itself? No, that's not really nice.
No, that's not. I think it even.
I think it says so in the description, like it shouldn't.
Yes. But I imagine there must be something similar for like we found this in the label or description. because it's such a common case, I believe.
Yes.
So with a bit of research, one should probably be able to find a property for that.
Yeah. It might be another property. We do have something based on heuristic, which could be something, and then there might be a...
I wonder if one can just use a general one and point to like a generic item about, actually this is based on for words, not for statements, right? But there might be something that allows you to point to a specific item that says Wikidata description.
Yes.
And
Or
with
title,
and with QuickStatements and these commands, one can do pretty advanced things. You can add qualifiers and sources and a lot of things. So I imagine one could cover the need just using SparkQL and QuickStatements. But now we're done with this island as well.
All right.
The map we got here it says a couple of seconds. It says a minute now. I'm not sure how accurate that is because Wikidata has several servers. Not exactly sure how it works. But yeah, we can see that
one is gone.
The Sandwich Islands are gone. I believe this one is also gone because we were actually editing this one. So I can move on to this one, which is France, and just go on like that. I believe there are a couple of Orchard ones. Actually, I've done Sweden and Norway already.
All right.
So yeah, it's a super easy and productive way to do this type of thing.
Yep. Indeed.
Right.
QuickStatements are our friend.
Indeed, and SparkQL.
And SparkQL, yeah. Well, that's not only a friend, that's blood.
Yes.
Essential nowadays, more or less.
It's a friend for life.
Yeah. All right. But I guess this was all for this time then. A little bit of a shorter episode, but hopefully you can try to take what we showed here and apply that in whatever you're working on, because these are like small workflow tools and things that might
this is, as you mentioned, this is mainly about workflows. It's not really tied to the subject or our own needs. Which is the great reason that like QuickStatements and SparkQL, they are so flexible. So it's
So
it's amazing.
Hey, if you want to work on parliamentary motions, there are 140,000 of them that we need to set a topic for. So be my guest and join me. Yeah. All right. But with that, see you next time.
See you next time.